Hey sportsman, John Bergsman here from the Great Lakes Insider Fishing Report, and today we're joined again by John Kennedy. Now John's taking a little bit of a break from us because he's been running all over the countryside trying to catch fish and keep guiding clients happen. John, you've been out on the big waters of Indian River's Burt Lake and also over on Mullet Lake, and it looks like this cold weather has finally given you the ability to freely move around most of the areas of the lake and start searching for fish, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we're actually able to ride our snow machines pretty much anywhere we want to go now. So
Well,
it's been
perfect.
pretty good.
I've seen a couple pictures that you sent me, and some other guys have sent me some stuff from Burt Lake, and it looks like they've had a pretty decent last couple of weeks for tip-up fishing there for walleye.
Yeah, the tip-up fishing's been great, and as far as jigging too, I mean, if you have the patience to sit down and jig your rod, you're gonna pull some in that way too. So, and then
Beautiful.
with that cold weather over the weekend, it kind of, for us, it slowed down, a little bit. So I'm hoping it's gonna pick back up here.
Exactly. Now, is that normal so guys don't get discouraged that just like in the summertime when you get those deep cold fronts, the fishing really, really slows for a few days. So that's pretty true even in ice fishing, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I notice it. People don't really believe that, the fish are affected as much by weather, during the ice fishing season, but I'm a firm believer that it does.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
what's been the basic setup? Take me through the way you would set your tip ups. I know we're going to try to get out on the ice here in the next week or so and try to film something, but when you're setting up on inland lakes, those big deep inland lakes like Burt and Mullet, what's your principle? I mean, one of the big questions we get asked is, first of all, does the type of minnow, whether it's a sucker, whether it's a shiner, an emerald, or a golden, or something like that, does that matter? And number two, what's a good benchmark for guys walleye fishing to set their stuff off the bottom?
Well, I typically I'll run the smallest treble that I feel to get away with. These inland lakes are a lot more finicky than some of the other bigger waters. And as far as off the bottom, I run two tip ups most of the time. I'll run one, I'll start tight to the bottom within a foot.
Yep.
And, sometimes I'll set the other one as far as 3 to 4 feet off the bottom. With these fish during the colder weather, they will suspend up a little bit and maybe moving a little bit slower also. And as far as bait, I typically have the best luck out here with the blue shiners.
Yep.
The 3 to 4 inch blue shiners. I've tried suckers out here and just haven't had the great success with them.
No, I know they're a good pike bait, and I know that
Yeah.
Burt's got a lot of really big pike in it.
Oh,
but
yeah.
But if you're targeting walleye, blues or emeralds, for my money, have always been the best baits. Now, I know a lot of people get hung up on Burt also because they think that you've got to be on structure. When a lot of times my past experience on Burt Lake has been, I hate to say, no man's land, but
Yeah.
sometimes moving around the basin areas and just simply being willing to go out with a group of guys, set a wide spread of tip-ups, cover a pretty good area of the basin, and really be willing to experiment and push your range a little bit. And then, of course, be reactive when a tip-up goes once or twice, maybe moving, dead tip-ups closer to the ones that are active and trying to almost, circle the wagons, if you will.
Oh, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I'm in my shanty now, and I'm sitting on one of the deeper, flats, 36 to 40-foot flats right now, and I'm actually marking more fish than I did all through the weekend, sitting on some of the structure that we typically focus on.
Yeah, so there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You're not just hearing a fishing report from John Kennedy, our Indian River guy. He's sitting in a shanty jigging while he's talking to you right now. That's almost wrong, John. But anyway,
Well, I like you guys, but if I do get a fish on, I may have to sit the phone down.
Well, at least let us hear the drag. But no, so that's super cool. We're glad that you're out in the shanty fishing, and And so the jigging. So talk to me about jigging. Okay, everybody knows the basics of tip up fishing. What's your basic presentation for jigging? What one or two or three go-to baits do you like to jig out there? And is there any rhyme or reason to jigging, or is it just basically being patient, putting your time in, drawing fish in, and then trying to coax them to bite?
Yeah, I mean, my first lure I pull out of my box is going to be a Swedish pimple.
Yep.
I mean, the smaller, the number 3 Swedish pimple with the small treble hook on it usually is the better lure in my box out here.
Sure. Do you tip it with a head or a full minnow?
Well, I mean, I'll start with a full minnow, and if those fish come up and don't have any interest with it, sometimes I'll reel it up, pinch the head off or pinch the body off, send it down, and 9 times out of 10 they'll come up and nail it.
Yep. I know that's the oldest trick in the book, and I still can't believe how many people don't realize that when you see fish on your graph and they're not hitting, reel that same bait up and make an alteration to the size or presentation of that bait. And in many cases, if you send it back down, that falling bait to the bottom will attract that fish that's still relatively close to your whole area, and he'll come right back in it. He'll take a look at it, and if it's somehow materially different, that in and of itself might be enough to get him to hit it.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. And like I said, 9 times out of 10 it does.
So I know Bert's also really chock full of some really nice sized perch. Would you say perch fishing is almost identical to walleye fishing when you're dealing with a 10+ inch perch, that you're fishing pretty much the same way, and you're able to coax the big perch in?
Yeah, I mean, most of the bigger perch that I've caught out here on Burt Lake has been jigging for walleye.
Sure.
You know, or even on a tip up, we pull some pretty good ones on the blue minnows.
Exactly.
But, you know, they're like anything else. They're going to want that smaller presentation sometimes too.
Yeah. What draws those fish out? Just for our listeners, and I know your information is going to be at the bottom of the screen here for contacting, for guiding out on ice fishing and as well as open water. I know you spend most of your time out of Sheboygan on the big water for lake trout during open water periods of time. But help people out with the ice fishing there in Burt. What really draws them to that main basin? Is it probably just the presence of redworms and just insect larvae coming up out of the bottom that they're rooting around for that type of stuff? Yeah,
I think so. There's a lot of wiggler hatch going on, you know, and actually with the Sturgeon River here coming into the south end of the lake brings in a lot of bait fish, and actually we've caught quite a few brown trout too.
Yeah, I know.
Some really nice brown trout.
On our show this year, the folks are going to see us catching a really super nice brown trout during a fall bass fishing extravaganza we had. And I'm telling you what, John, this sucker was 27, 28 inches long. It was big.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
and
there's been quite a few caught this year and some really nice ones.
Yep. Well, we know that as people have been listening, they're going to see the pictures that you sent over to us and just to see all the great fishing that's going on. John, get back to fishing, and we'll talk to you about getting on the ice here in the next week. But if you can put a bite together for us, we'd love to come up, Chase and I, and film you catching some of those fish for the next show.
Absolutely, John. We'd be glad to have you.
All right. Well, thanks so much, John Kennedy, guys, from the Indian River area and MFM Sport Fishing Charters. And he can handle all of your Indian River ice fishing needs. He does some open water fishing in the fall, also on Burt Lake, but his primary from basically early May until the end of September is you can find him plying the waters of Sheboygan and out of the port of Sheboygan and filling your boat up with those awesome lake trout with a splash of Atlantics. John, thanks so much, and we'll see you again in a couple weeks.
Hey, John, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you later.
You bet. Bye-bye.